So here we are on turn 7 of Nyborg. So far I've done the really active wings and activated each of them. I gotta figure out who's going next. But over here, Horn's command basically switched over to make ready and started forming. Over here, Arnfeldt did not leave charge formation. He still has a unit preventing him from going into automatic rally. So he stayed in contact and traded shots, driving this unit back, which later it routed, but then it has had time to reform. During Botiker's command, which was also under charge orders, he switched to make ready and is slowly trying to reform to smash into the Danish left. We still got Elberhorn back here rallying, which could cause some real problems if those are able to get into reasonable command and attack. That's about it. We're going to see some of the rallying actions. Trump still remains. He's going to be going next because the option is either him or over here at Steinbach. Since a Swede went last, it goes over to Trump. Of course, that can no, it cannot. Trump managed to get a charge off. Swept that one gun, but when he hit the pikeman behind the hedgerow, one of his units routed, the other one was forced back. Cav has a hard time taking the infantry out if they can't get a flank hit, and but it came down to I needed to try. I mean, it was at a -2, which is horrible, but I need to try to bust that up before I get hit by the cav on either side. Stenbach's activation led to a charge, which caused quite a bit of kind of messy behavior going on. Among other things, this guy who was on top of the captured cannon from Trump drove the last remaining infantry unit back and routed it. Stulsbach has been playing with this cav on and off. They've attacked, or were attacked actually. I'm trying to figure out where, because I think Stenbach then hit that unit and smashed it back here. But anyway, there's been this sort of mass fighting in the center. It's hard to tell how it's going to shake out. Both Trump and Stenbach look weakened. I can't really tell you. That's really undecided at this point. We've got the Swedes on the flanks kind of forming up. We got some fighting happening down here, and it's all becoming this disorganized mess. I think all that's left are the rally units that I want to try to reform and get back in. And after that, that's probably the end of the turn. End of 7 turns, and we're seeing the allied Dutch-Danish army, primarily Danish, really looking like it's about ready to leave the field. We got a couple of routed units heading this way. We got units that are in charge command down here, but they're not rightfully so. This guy is still I think it's Trump's command. No, this is Alfet's command. Alfeldt's command. Still contains a unit in only shaken condition that's under charge orders. So he's still got the right to be on the field. I think Trump does not, because he's got formation brokens. So it may be hard to maintain, to keep the Danes on the field in this upcoming turn. Alright. The 8th turn here passed without any fighting whatsoever. Basically, everybody was trying to reform as best they could. The Danish forces are all in rally formation with the exception of Elefelt. He still has a few units over in this area that are not forcing him into a rally position. Some of the other commanders are trying to get out, like Eberstein is trying to get out of his rally situation, because he has good troops that would help keep the Danes from leaving the field. But it's definitely a situation where, you know, a couple of bad die rolls and they could end up fleeing as an army. We've got this unit definitely fleeing. Nobody's trying to help it, and it's not a bad cav unit. I just couldn't afford to put the army commander back there. On the other hand, over here we see good old Stenbach went to try to rally one of his units. Now his whole line's going to have to fall back to join him if he stays back there. He can come forward though. Likewise, Boddicker, who's down here, is crossing that hedgerow, but he couldn't get the charge orders he wanted. He wanted to go smash into Tromp and knock him off the field. Instead, he's kind of deploying to protect himself against Eberstein if he activates. I love the chaos in this game. So there we are at the end of 9. Not much happened. Everybody pretty much was in a rally type state, or fell into one, with the exception of our good friend, whom I can't pronounce, Alhelfelt? Alhelfelt, I guess. Anyway, he's still in charge and wasn't able to shake that. Did some light engagement here and here without actually getting into hand-to-hand, just firing on some units that are weaker. Mainly too much risk to the army if they lose a hand-to-hand at that point. Everything else is still in rally on his side, I believe. Boom. 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 And I think we're out of commanders. We're a short one, basically. Now, over on the Swedish side, they got out of rally, but aren't really able. A lot of their units do need to reform. The only person who really kind of won it was still good old Boddicker. Really wants an attack here. Over here in the center, basically they're just praying to hold on. They're a little outnumbered. There isn't a lot of Danish force there, but as long as they don't fall, nothing too terrible looks like it's going to happen to the Swedes. They have the supremacy up here, it looks like, although Quast is gathering his command, and we're seeing part of Elephant's forces down here. And then up here, again, it could go any which way, but it looks like Trump is exposed right now, and Eberstein is weaker on that side. Of course, he did just set up a cannon. Those aren't as effective as one would think. We got one deed running off the board. Alright. So here we are in the 10th turn, and a little bit of action took place down here in the center. Ahlefeld continued to fire. Kind of a trade-off. He took losses here, dealt more here, because the Cav can't really fire back effectively with pistols. It is kind of odd that they're holding off there, but his infantry, I believe, actually holds the hedge line there, so it makes it a little worse. But what's interesting is when the Swedes got their first actions over here with Boudicca, he reformed twice. Let me see if I got that right. One, two, three, yeah. Okay, he reformed twice and then finally was able to change into charge. And this is just the moment before the charge. I never show this picture for various reasons because I like to play things out. But I just want to show the moment. Charge going on here, charge going on here. In both cases, Eberstein had options to try to countercharge, but there's no momentum either way, so that's not really an advantage. He got to fire off his artillery support, which did nothing. Over here, we've got momentum on the charges. The problem is, well, actually, Eberstein wouldn't have either. The problem is that Tromp's forces are in rally mode, which means they can't countercharge. So he is going to suffer the penalty of facing those extra momentum markers. We'll see how it all turns out. So the result of that cav attack looked very good at the beginning. They won all the fights, every one of them. This one destroyed the enemy crossing the hedge. No pursuit, great stuff. Over here, knocked Tromp running. Still no pursuit, you know. Cav's tired, but that's going to be the case no matter what. However, over here we had a destruction. Yet another dead pile unit there, but we had somebody run off the map. And that's kind of the problem with a well-executed cav attack, is you still end up losing units. And finally, Boudicca set Eberstein running, and also did not pursue. So it wasn't too bad. He only lost one unit. They lost two, and have 2 units broken. Of course, Boudicca's command is now spread all over Hell and Creation, which is going to make it harder to reform. And he's got this heavy infantry unit he's facing, which if they come out of rally, seemingly less likely at this moment perhaps, that could actually be quite painful for them. After 10, the field has thinned a little bit, got a little bit, I think, more rational. I'm not sure. So, again, we've mainly been seeing the lines not really trying to push at all anywhere. The only real exception's been Boudicca, and we saw his first attack. Then when Eberhorn tried to rally his cav, Boudicca was able to intercept and smash them and send them flying again. And they're actually routed at the end of the turn, which means they keep running. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which is funny because Eberheim had just gotten his wing into receive charge to reduce the chances of losing by everything being in rally. Right now Quast is also in that, and actually that looks like a really unlikely it looks really unlikely that the Danes are just going to leave the field at this point. They have farmed up their army well enough. I'm going to pack this one and send it up. This is taking more vids than I thought it would, but it's getting me used to the game again, which is kind of cool.